Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Lucky Life podcast, where we create our own luck and design the life of our dreams. I'm your host, Melissa Merck. Let's dive right into the episode. Okay, so today I want to talk about hair loss, or more so hair shedding, because this is what I have been experiencing for the past couple weeks. Honestly, the first time that I realized that my hair was falling out in clumps, I was terrified. It is traumatizing. It's scary. If you have ever experienced hair loss, you would understand it is not a fun thing to go through. Currently, I am not noticing any bald spots on my scalp. Like, I can't see my scalp, but the shedding has been consistent, and when I put my hands in my hair, I can just feel that it's thinner. I think the scariest part is just not knowing how long it's going to last or how extreme it's going to get. I don't know, I definitely feel like I'm in the beginning phases, which it's definitely not a fun thing to deal with. So today I want to talk about a couple reasons why your hair might be falling out. I do want to start off by saying that there are a ton of different reasons why you could be losing hair. Hair loss is associated with a ton of different illnesses. It could be stress related, nutrient deficiencies. There's a huge list. So I'm just going to be talking about two of the reasons, because these are the ones that I think they're the two possibilities for me in my situation, and they are super common. So if you feel like you're losing more hair than normal, listen up, because this could be your situation as well. Like I mentioned, this started a couple weeks back, and I was just running my hands through my hair and clumps were coming out. Also, when I brush my hair, there's just way more hair in my hairbrush, and when I shower, it's not a fun thing to see. All of your hair's not attached to your head. And when I look at the hair strands, there is, you can see the root bulb. So I know it's not breakage, it's actually hair loss from my scalp. It's totally normal to lose anywhere from 100 to 150 strands of hair per day. Your hair also sheds more in different seasons, but the amount that I'm seeing is just, it's not normal for me. I think it's kind of hard to look at a clump of hair and say, is this normal hair loss or not? Just in general for anyone, because a clump of hair is going to look completely different depending on how long your hair is, how thick your hair is. Also, when was the last time you brushed or showered? There's so many factors. If you were just going to show someone a clump of hair, it's hard to say if it's normal shedding or not, but you know yourself best. And if you are noticing something that is out of the ordinary and more than normal, I think it's definitely something to look into. So anyways, when I first noticed this, I panicked. I definitely had a couple days where I was full on freaking out, having a bit of a mental breakdown, didn't really get anything done besides be stressed and research. And I spent hours and hours on my computer just looking up other people's experiences and trying to figure out a solution, trying to figure out what was going on. The first thing that came to mind is telogen effluvium. I'm going to refer to it as TE, just for short. Back in January, I got really sick. I had a fever. I was bedridden for about a week. I never got tested, but I'm pretty sure it was COVID. It was definitely some sort of flu. I got it after being on a cruise, and I was around a lot of sick people. But that was in January, and we're now in April. So there was about a 3-month gap between when I was sick and when my hair started falling out, which is pretty typical for TE. So basically what can happen is if you go through a stressful period in your life, this can be COVID, a sickness, a breakup, death in the family, just something that causes a lot of stress on your body. This can trigger TE, which basically sends a big chunk of your hair into its resting phase. Your hair goes through different growth cycles. I believe it goes anagen, catagen, telogen. And telogen is the resting phase. Your hair will hang out there for 2-3 months, and then it falls out. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere between 5 and 10% of your hair will be in this phase at any given time. That's totally normal. But with TE, you can have, I'm going to say anywhere from 30 to 70% of your hair in this phase. Most of the articles I read said 30 to 50, but I watched a lot of YouTube videos and just heard from other people's personal experience, and a lot of people said they lost 70% of their hair. So I'm just going to say somewhere between 30 and 70, which honestly, that's terrifying. The worst thing about all of this is, well, one, you don't know how much you're going to lose, but two, there's nothing you can do because the trigger moment already happened months ago. and now you're just waiting for all of these hairs to fall out. The shedding process can take anywhere from 3 to 9 months. I've heard some people say their shedding lasted up to like a year, and that is also terrifying. Really, the only thing you can do is try not to stress about it, which is way easier said than done, but stress is only going to make things worse. And then focus on taking care of the hair that you do have and focusing on regrowth. If you guys watch my YouTube videos, I have been struggling with my hair for like over 15 years. I definitely think it comes down to like hormonal imbalances, PCOS, but I've just always had very thin, fine hair. It doesn't grow. And this is going to go into what I'm going to talk about later. It's super disheartening because I feel like after like 10, 15 years of trial and error with my hair, I feel like I was finally making progress. Like my hair texture definitely feels better and I've gotten more density at the ends, and I was so hopeful that I was maybe going to start growing my hair this year. Like it just like seems to really get stuck at one length. But it's like I finally start seeing results, and then all of my hard work is now falling out. So yeah, it's really not fun. But anyways, I'm not 100% sure that this is what is happening, but just based off of the timeline and me being sick, I definitely think it is a possibility. Another really common reason for hair loss or excess hair shedding is iron deficiency. I have a handful of reasons why this might be the case. A few months ago, I decided to take my health more seriously, and I buckled down and I decided to get my hormones in check and regulate my period because I've never had a regular period. I have PCOS for anyone that didn't know, but that is why I've always had an irregular cycle. Like normally I would only get 1 to 2 periods a year. Over the years, I've really done work on this and I've gotten it to about every like 2 to 3 months, but I am now in month 3 or 4 of having a period every single month, which is amazing. And you would think that this would help with my hair. But since I am having a period every month, I'm also losing iron every month at a more consistent pace than I was in the past. So that is something that has changed and definitely could be a contributing factor. I would love to go in and get updated blood work. I think getting an updated hormone panel as well as getting my ferritin tested would be super helpful. Unfortunately, in Canada, you can't just go to your GP and request blood work. Normally, I would go to my naturopath and then you can request through them. And you do have to pay for it, but you can basically get any test you want. I have not seen my naturopath in years. I love her, but she is so booked up. Like I was looking at her availability and she's booking months out. But my ferritin is definitely like the number one thing I would want to see. Sometimes you can get lucky with doctors though. I think if I went in and I said that my hair was falling out and I was tired all the time, they might order a ferritin test. I feel like that's an easier one to get. I really don't think they would do like a full hormone panel for me, but I might go to my walk-in. I don't have a family doctor right now, but I might try to go to a walk-in because I think it would be helpful to look at that. However, I did go back and I looked at my most recent blood work and my ferritin was sitting at 40. And if anything, I think it would be lower now. Technically, 40 is in range. The range for ferritin is it's a very large range. Also, ferritin is basically your iron storage. I think your ferritin has to be under 10 to be considered iron deficiency. However, for optimal hair growth, you want your ferritin to be at 70 or 80 and even up to 100. I don't know why I didn't really look into this more in the past. I think just because it was in normal range, I didn't really look at it, but 40 is definitely not optimal for hair growth. And now I kind of wonder if this has been an underlying issue for me for quite a few years because I constantly have baby hairs. Like if you guys are watching the video, I basically have baby hairs all over my head that are like a few inches long and they never get longer than that. And then I also really struggle with keeping density at the ends. Like my hair only grows to a certain point and then it just seems to shed. Up until now, I thought I was having issues with breakage, which I think was part of the problem. But I think the bigger issue is just my hair growth cycle. I think that my hair is shedding quicker than it should, and this can be related to an iron problem. Like I'm kind of hoping that my whole issue with my hair is iron and then I can fix it. I'm pretty impulsive, so as soon as I thought it could be an iron problem, I ordered an iron supplement. And I will say, well actually, okay, I'm going to talk about all the supplements that I'm taking because I really had to do an audit and like make a plan on what I'm going to take and when. So I'll go over that in a bit, but I definitely like panicked and I picked up some supplements, one of them being iron, and Iron deficiency is super common in women, but I would not recommend just going out and taking an iron supplement without knowing that you need it, because it can actually be damaging if you take too much or if you take it when you don't need it. But I definitely think that whether this is causing my hair loss right now or not, I think I could benefit from supplementing. You can also up your iron through your diet. Things like red meat, oysters. Oysters are really high in iron. Beans. I'm trying to think of things off the top of my head. But to be honest, like, I don't eat a lot of high iron meat foods anyways. Like, I rarely eat red meat. I never eat oysters. I do think that my diet is lacking in iron as well. And just like all of these things are factors. Like most supplements, it usually takes a few months before you notice drastic results. I have heard some people say that they have noticed improvements after a few weeks of taking iron. So I always just like get excited hoping I'm going to see results right away, but I'm going to stay consistent with it. And hopefully in a few months, we will see improvement. I don't know if I'll be doing updates on the podcast, but definitely follow my YouTube channel because I'll do updates there for sure. So the game plan now, and what I would recommend to anyone who is experiencing hair loss is, one, definitely go to your doctor. Try to get updated blood work. If you can't get it through your GP, go to a naturopath or a functional doctor. Also, if you can get in to see a dermatologist, I would highly recommend that as well. Sometimes hair loss can be related to a scalp problem. That's actually another thing that I could talk about, because I have had a really dry, flaky scalp, like chronically, and it definitely like goes through phases where it's like better and worse. I'm back to using Nizoral shampoo, which can help, but I don't know. I've tried every single dandruff shampoo under the sun. Nothing really seems to work. I've gone to doctors. I've tried like medicated products. I think it's either a dry scalp or seborrheic dermatitis, and seborrheic dermatitis can be linked to hair loss. I would love to get in to see a dermatologist, and I would definitely recommend that you guys go see a dermatologist if you can. I know often they have really long wait times. It can be so frustrating when you're struggling with something. Like, you just want results immediately, and sometimes you have to wait months to get in. But I'm definitely going to look into that and like try to get in to see someone just in case it is a scalp related problem. It's nice to rule things out if you're not 100% sure what's going on. And then blood work, again, is just like super helpful if there's like an underlying condition. Also, like with different hormones, like another thing, like since I have regulated my period, my hormones have switched up. I'm like, is just like the switch up of hormones and like affecting? There's so many different things. I feel like I have a really good hair care routine, and I don't really think I need to switch anything up as far as that goes. If you guys want to see all the products I'm using, I did a video on my YouTube channel a few months back. If I remember, I'll also link it in the show notes. I was really focusing on length retention. So I used K18, which is a bond builder, and I feel like that has really helped with like the strength and the texture of my hair. I also use a scalp oil that has rosemary oil in it, so that can help stimulate hair growth. I also use hair oil on the ends to protect the ends of my hair. I sleep in a silk bonnet. I don't use heat on my hair super often. When I do, I use heat protectant. Most days I put my hair up in a clip, which it's up in a clip right now. So that's a good way to just like protect your hair during the day. And so I really do feel like I'm doing everything I can as far as hair care goes. But obviously with hair loss from the scalp, that's not really related to products you're using, in most cases at least. So yeah, I definitely think that the fix is going to be just like time and internally. I'm going to go over all the supplements I'm taking now. And again, I would never recommend that you just go out and take these. Definitely talk to your healthcare provider before starting anything, but this is my game plan and I am hoping it helps. I definitely panic bought Nutrafol. Like the first day I noticed that my hair was falling out, because I watched so many videos of people talking about their experience with TE, and a lot of people said that they had good results with Nutrafol, not for preventing hair fall, but just for regrowth. They do recommend taking 4 caps a day. However, I was going through everything that it contains, and I also take AG1, and there's a lot of overlap in what is included. They both have vitamins A and C, as well as biotin, zinc, selenium. Nutrafol also has collagen in it, and I take collagen in my coffee every morning. The key things that stand out for me in Nutrafol are saw palmetto, iodine, horsetail. Those are probably the main ones. I think if you're already taking a bunch of supplements or blended supplements, you might not want to take Nutrafol, or you might want to like replace Nutrafol. I don't want to be overdoing it and like mega dosing on certain things. So I've decided that I'm going to rotate and I'm going to take Nutrafol every second day. I've also started taking a mushroom blend. So it's just a bunch of functional mushrooms. And then the iron supplement I started taking is by Thorne. It's called Ferrosorb. And so there's iron in it, obviously, but there's also vitamin C, which helps with absorption. And then there's folate, B12, and B6. But basically, the main two things that I added in is Nutrafol and the Ferrosorb iron. It's probably going to take a few months before I can really notice if these are making a difference. So I do want to commit to 3 months. I think for sure I'll do an update on YouTube. So definitely go subscribe there. If my hair continues to fall out, you will obviously be able to notice it in videos. It's basically a waiting game right now to see what's going to happen. And then one other thing I was going to mention too, like if you're going to get your iron levels checked, definitely get that tested before you start taking the supplement, because that can alter the results. But when I freak out about something, I just like need to take action immediately. So I already jumped on the iron train. But anyways, it takes a while for your ferritin stores to increase anyways. I've only been taking this for 2 days, but yeah. So that is just a little update on my hair situation. If you're going through a similar situation, I feel you. It is not a fun thing to go through, but we're going to be okay. And in most cases, your hair growth comes back, and in time, everything will be okay. So I hope this episode was helpful for anyone that is unfortunately going through the same thing. I will talk to you guys all hopefully next week, if not the next week after. Until then, have a great life.